Hi, and welcome to my craft room. My name is Sue, and I'm with S Creations Crafts, and I'm so glad you were able to join me today. Today's card is about trying to find some warmth in my craft room. I'm always cold. Doesn't matter, it's 70 degrees outside, and the house is warm. I'm cold. Unless it's 80 degrees, Mama ain't happy. I always have from October 1st through probably June 1st, I always have some type of a scarf or a sweater, most of the time robe and slippers on just to stay warm. My craft room, it doesn't get that cold. I feel cold. I like to have a blanket or something wrapped around me. It just makes me feel nice, warm, and cozy. So for today's stamp, I have Picket Fences Jill, and she's like my friend. Her and I can relate. She's has a nice sweater and a cup of coffee in her hand all the time. Every time I look at her, she has a sweater and a cup of coffee. It makes me happy. So today I decided to use her and do it in a fall scheme. And I didn't have a stamp set that said, "Is it summer yet?" Because that's how I feel. I'm ready for it to be summer already. So I went to my Cricut and created the sentiment that I want. So today's video is about stenciling, Copic coloring, using the Cricut, and then I put it all together for a card. I look forward to making this card for you, and I'll see you on the other side of the video when the card is complete. I printed out the image using the Memento Ink Rich Cocoa, and then I'm going to stencil it, and this is a Gina K stencil. I'll put the name of it down below. I put it on this old Cricut mat. It didn't stick really well, so I ended up having to tape it on there just so that it wouldn't move when I do the ink blending. The card stuck really good, but the stencil didn't, so I just wanted to make sure that it didn't move through this. And then I went ahead with the lightest color first, so I picked Sweet Corn from Gina K. It's a very pale yellow, and I just did it around the image, kind of like a little, I think they call it a vignette, just to the oval shape around it. And I figured I'd do lighter, and then I'm going to go darker as I go further out. But I just did the soft sweet corn around her whole image. And then I moved into the tomato soup, which is a nice warm fall color. And I just kind of sporadically put that around the stencil, just in certain areas. I wasn't any pattern. I just kind of stuck it in the around with the sweet corn, kind of giving it a little bit darker image as I go out. And then I picked the warm cocoa, which is also from Gina K, and I filled in the spaces that I didn't do towards the outside with, and it's a warm cocoa, but it has a little bit of a green to it, like a brown green. Here it looks more green, but it has a little brown undertone for it, so it really brought in the nice fall colors for this background, which is what I'm looking for. And in order to kind of blend it a little bit better, I took the sweet corn and I didn't re-ink it. I just went back around the vignette a little bit just to kind of brighten up a little of those spots. And that is all I did for the background. So for my Copic coloring, I'm pretty simple in my coloring. So for this sweater, I just wanted to keep the camel color, kind of like a taupe sweater. So I just picked 3 browns that have a dark, a medium, and a light shade. So you can see I used the E11, the E23, and then I have, I think, the E34. So I picked those, and I'm just kind of first started out with the light color, the E11. Then I brought in the E23 to just do the dark lines where I think the shadows would be on the arm. And then I go in with the E34 to blend out the E23. And then I follow up with the E11 overall to just do a top coat of it. And I did that same thing for this side. Started out with the E11, just putting the color on. I feel that it's best to just put the color on. It makes the blending of all the other colors work better. Then I went in with the E23 along all those dark lines, any of the shadows underneath the mittens and in the arms where it bent. And then I went back with the E34 and blended those out into the arm. And then I go back in with the lightest shade to just blend out all three again. And then I just kept going back and forth with those three colors till I got the shade that I'm looking for. I found that after I did the E11 again, I kind of lost some of the shading, so I went back in with the darker color to kind of bring those back out, and then I went back in with the E34. So it was a lot of back and forth just to get the right shadow that I was looking for along, especially underneath the mittens. Those area was not really, I had to keep going back for that to kind of create that look. And then on the where the cup handle was, I made that a dark, like a shadow, like if the cup was doing a shadow. Then I went into the scarf and I wanted a green scarf. So here I start out with the very light color, the YG13, and just, I didn't want to do each little stitch. I just did it as a, like a one unit. And then for the darker shade, I went in where they had the darkest black lines and just kind of accented those and kind of used that as my shadowing. Now I did miss a couple of the stitches and I do come back in later to get those. But then I went back with the YG13. I only used two colors here because that's the only, I only have those two colors in the yellow green family. So I just made it work, but I'm sure there's another color in between that would probably shade this even better. And I just kept going back with the YG17 to give that dark shade, kind of giving it a layered effect, kind of hoping that I get the rolls of the scarf. And then I went into the face, and for the face I just picked these three colors. That's all I had, and I used the E00 first and then the E01, and then the R01 I kind of used that as a dark shading because it was a kind of a rosy color, and so I kind of put that towards the edge and the outside for blending, and then brought it back in with the E01 and the E00. I keep going back between those three colors until I did a little at a time until I got the depth that I was looking for. I did bring in a pink for the lips and a little bit of the cheek line, and then I blended that back out with the R01 because that had a little bit of the red in it, so it wouldn't be that contrast. And then I went back in with the E00 and the E01 again to just fan those out and kind of blend a little better. I did feel that she needed, after I did a little bit of the nose highlights and the coloring, I did go back and kind of give her some pink eyeshadow just because I felt like it. I thought she needed some eyeshadow. But because I did that, I did go back and to kind of highlight a little bit of that. And for her hair, I was going with gray hair because that's what I have. And then I'm also thinking, but I still appreciate my brown hair when I had it. So I kind of was picking some colors that, oh, here's where I go back with that green that I saw. Once I did the hair, I could see I missed it. So I did a lot of the light gray, and then I went back with the little darker gray. It took a lot of finessing to get the color that I was looking for. It's definitely not as white as my hair. I couldn't get it that white. But I did go in with the brown highlights, figuring before I turned all white, I did have brown hair. And I was kind of going back for that, going back to my glory days and when I had a little bit of brown hair. And then I just kept blending back out the gray with the brown and trying to bring out the gray more. It didn't, I think I could have done a little bit differently. And then I went in with the dark gray, thinking that that would highlight the light gray a little bit more. It seemed like it made it more like she had black hair, which isn't exactly what I was going for. But I was trying to get the gray to stand out more, and it seemed like more the black and the brown is standing out. So I kept trying to go back with the gray, and maybe because I had the wrong gray, maybe I needed the warm grays. This is the only gray I have. And so I just then went in with the end zero and try to highlight it a little bit more. And then for the mug, here I brought in the coral, which is a YR61. It's the closest color I have to coral. It's kind of a little bit of an orange, and I used that for the mug. Now again, you could do each little stitch a different color if you have the light, medium, dark. I didn't, so I just did it as one mass. And then I tried highlighting with the dark gray because I wanted the white of the mittens to kind of stand out a little bit more. And I thought if I did the dark around the edges, it would pop the white. So that's what I was trying to do with the dark gray, and then go back and keep doing the coral color. And then for the mug, I just did the end two, which is a gray. I really wasn't sure what color to do the mug, but the gray just kind of tied it all together. For the sentiment, I'm going to go ahead and I use my Cricut. I designed the Cricut. While this prints and cuts, it would be a good time to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're aware of my next video. For the background, I cut a piece of cardstock tomato soup by Gina K to 5 3/8 by 4 1/2, and then I cut down the actual card size to 4 by 5 1/4. And then I popped up the sentiment on the front of the card after gluing the two pieces together. I hope you appreciated watching Jill come to life. I do enjoy coloring stamps and I enjoy creating with my Cricut, so it's fun to see these things come together in a card. I appreciate you watching all the way through, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great day.